Today I'm with Aurelia Gnara and talking about her recent research, which is looking at the automation of detecting sleep postures during sleep. So thank you so much for talking to us today. So first of all, can you just tell us why is it important to be thinking about sleep postures? Why is that interesting to look at?
Yes, hi Kate, thank you. So the reason why we were interested in detecting sleep posture is because it's very well known that many sleep disorders are also related to the posture. For example, we can think about sleep apnea of the obstructive one that usually happen when people are in supine position, so with the sleeping on their back. But also a recent study have shown that in neurodegenerative disease like Parkinson's disease, the lymphatic system, that is the system in charge of cleaning our brain, it also works slowly when we are in supine position. So those are the main reason why we decided to have an automatic system to detect those kind of position.
Great, thanks. And so your research has focused a bit on using a sensor mattress to do this. Can you give us a bit of an explanation of why that's sort of a good method to use over perhaps the more traditional actigraphy or video monitoring?
Yes, of course. So what we were thinking about was that we really don't like to sleep with devices attached to our body that can influence our sleep. Like it can be like already with the gold standard polysomnography, for example, that our patients have a lot of cables, electrode attached to their body. And of course, the sleep is different from a natural sleep that we would get. And the same as like we have also many different patients they really don't like to sleep with smartwatch or with something attached to the ankle. And regarding videos, for example, many people concerned about their privacy in their bedroom. So that's why we thought that having an obtrusive system that we can integrate directly in the bed and is invisible for people sleeping on it can be a good tool in order to detect this position during night.
And just to clarify, that it's not like the whole mattress is sort of sensing, it's like a sort of pad that goes under the sheets, is that right?
So we have used two different one. One that is just a small one that will cover the area under the chest. And this is one that we have custom made, developed in the lab together with like a company that have that given us the sensors, and then like we developed our own electronics and algorithm on it. But then in the hospital, we did a different study. What we used a commercial sensor mattress that was covering all the area of the of a single bed.
Okay, great. And actually, that brings us on very nicely to your validation study. So, can you tell us a little bit about those two studies, just sort of briefly, and what you found, perhaps the differences between the two systems?
Yes, of course. So on one side, we tried this custom-made small mattress in the lab, and using the images created from the pressure sensors embedded in the mattress, we fit these images in a convolutional neural network that can help us in classify the four different sleep positions that can be supine, prone, lateral left, or lateral right. When we did it in the lab, it was an easy task in a sense that we were asking our participant to sleep in the different position. So we could easily label our data and also we could easily see how our patient was sleeping on the bed. But on the other side, we were using a small mattress just under the chest. Then when we wanted to do the study into the clinics with a commercial mattress that was covering all the area of the bed, we were expecting at the beginning to have even better result. But this was not what happened. What happened was that using the label directly from the polysomnography system, we realized that we got many mislabeled because, for example, the way how the position is classified by the polysomnography, it comes from a sensor that is worn on the chest of the patient. And what happened in clinics during night is that this kind of sensor can just shift on the lateral side of the patient without that we can realize it. So we got many times like a label for a supine position while it was clear that the patient was in a lateral position, for example. And since in the clinics we do video polysomnography, then we could also access to the video data. So we did a second label on our model looking at the video data. But of course, also that it wasn't that straightforward as we thought, because many patients were wearing a heavy blanket. So it was not so easy sometimes to detect if it was a supine or a lateral position, or maybe many patients were just sleeping naturally, and so sleeping in a position that it's something intermediate from a lateral and a supine or a prone, for example. So also labeling those data, it was not straightforward as when we did a controlled study in the lab. So then we implemented in our model also an automatic label correction in order to increase the performances. So at the end, we could reach more or less the same performances in the lab with the small mattress and in the clinics with the big mattress.
Great. Okay. Yeah. It's always more complicated when we take things out into the real world.
Yes,
And
exactly.
so, yeah. So what then is the kind of next step with this research? Is it to try and look at different clinical populations and to see sort of how it works in different settings?
So what we think that is interesting is, on one side, what is possible to do is not only detect position, but it's also possible to detect the movement that we are doing. So for example, the periodic limb movement, it's something that is very interesting to study, and especially with an obtrusive sensor, because it's related to many neurological disease, for example. On the other side, we started to detect with this kind of pressure sensors, not only the movement and the pressure, so the position itself, but also we can extract a physiological parameter like heart rate and breathing rate. So for sure, we are going in this direction now with our research.
Wow, that's very exciting. It's great to be able to collect this kind of data in sort of non-intrusive ways.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks so much for talking to us about your research, and we'll obviously link all your papers below so people can read all the details. So thanks very much.
Thank you too.